it's not a fully thought out theory as of yet. I'll speculate in. Shout out to my guy Bands. Shout out to my guy Ron Peace. Shout out to my guy Internet Kage from the Discord. So basically, we see the ring eyes. We see how it is with the emu. We also see how it is with Mihawk. We've also seen it with Big Mom. And interestingly enough, Big Mom has the soul food. And I do think it's something to do with souls, spirits, all. It's the same will, intent, like inherited will, all that stuff. I think it has everything to do with that. Like if you look at Mihawk and how he perceives himself, he's the only person with a black blade and he has that. I think it's something of the line of, he's in one with his blade, you can say. Like he has the one awakened sword, you can really see and say, because it's a black blade. So he's one with sword, whatever his swordsmanship is, his one sword style, whatever it is that he do, world's strongest swordsman, that's what he is. Now, the sword has a will of its own. You get me? So that's where I think the other ring comes from. I think the other ring comes from basically just saying like more than one soul. I don't know how many, just more than one soul. For Mihawk, I think he has his soul. He's in one with his soul is in line with the blade is in line with his will. He's bended the blade to his will. I think the same thing could be said for maybe like a Big Mom, because she literally can talk to her sword. She doesn't have a black blade, but she has a double. She can literally talk to her sword and command it to do what it does. Like I said, she has the ringed eyes. Hakuba and Cavendish are two different entities in one body. I don't know the lore around his sword, so I made a speculation and kind of just made a jump. And it's more so along the lines of maybe he's wielding a blade he's not ready to be wielding. So maybe that other spirit that is Hakuba maybe it comes from his sword. I'm starting to think that. I don't know if he had this lore about him when he was growing up and it just happened all the time, or it happened when he picked up this in particular sword and became this type of swordsman. Because maybe he's wielding there's a line in Roll to Laugh Tale where it says there are some blades that manipulate their wielders to take the lives of others in tragic quirks of fate.
Yeah.
So that makes me think of people like Shiryu in a sense, because when we met Shiryu, they handed him his sword, and as soon as he undid it, his sword was glowing and everything, and he just like shing, and then he said, "I'm sorry." Like, you get what I'm saying? But it's like he did it because his sword requires him to take lives. That's a jump. No one has to agree with me on that. But it leads me to believe in that this lore has to come from somewhere. And we've seen Katetsu. Zoro had to get Katetsu in line the moment he started wielding it because it was cutting things he didn't want to cut. So Zoro had to whip it into shape. You get me? Enma, it could take the life of its wielder in itself. We don't know the requirements for every blade, but we can see. For me, what I say, I think we can see that from what Road to Laptail is saying. I think Hakuba and Cavendish, their situation is one for one what Road to Laptail is telling me. The sword manipulates its wielder to take the life of others in tragic quirks of fate. That sounds like this dude goes to sleep, wakes up a demon, and cuts everybody in half, like into shreds. With speed feet, well, I didn't say speed feet because it's just Rosa, so it might not be up to par where we are now. But the speed that he was displaying at the time, it seemed pretty crazy. And then he had to get it all in line. He had to, you know what I'm saying? He had that moment with Robin, and he was able to tap in and look at both sides of his soul, like be able to keep both sides of his soul in his side and Hakuba's side. He had to keep them reined in, and he was doing it. He was doing it because he know he needed Hakuba at the same time.
Yeah.
So it's like I don't know. I don't know. I don't know if that's just a thing for him or if it's for me. I think that could be this. That has something to do with the sword. I right now is what I'm calling it. I think he's using a sword that he probably wasn't meant to be wielding it in the first place. I think that's what happens when someone is not of great grade level but has a great grade sword. You get what I'm saying to you?
Yeah.
Like Zoro got a sword like that when he was ready for a sword like that. Like he got Shusui. It was a great grade. It was probably one of the best grade grades because it's black, of course. But he only got that sword. And that sword probably didn't need to test him because he won the battle with the wielder of the blade, Ryuma. Even though it was the decrypted version of Ryuma, it wasn't. He's dead and everything. He was still Ryuma. You know what I mean? That's who the blade was. That's who was wielding the blade. Zoro defeated that person. The blade understands that. Zoro's okay. The sword's okay with Zoro wielding. It doesn't actually test Zoro. But Enma didn't. He didn't. It's not like he beat Oden. You know what I'm saying? Like this. So Enma's definitely gonna test him. So you know what I'm saying? That's how I think that goes.